Bijl. You'll be talking to us about terms of engagement, the golden rules at DevConf, and welcome to today's discussion.
Thank you very much.
So nice to have you with us. We are very excited. This is your first talk at DevConf.
Yes.
Are you nervous, or are you happy, or are you terrified?
Absolutely terrified, but you know what? We're just going to put one foot in front of the other and hope like hell no one boos me at the end.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they won't. They're fairly well trained. So, tell us about your background.
So my background is I started as a incredibly bad developer back in the early 2000s, and then I found my stride when it came to front ends. And then I got dropped very heavy into SharePoint in 2003. And from there, I actually just built my entire career around SharePoint and actually making the UI and usability of SharePoint something that could actually be used by users. And then with the evolving of SharePoint, I got dropped into WordPress for one of the major media companies in the country. And apparently I was Hitler in a past life. So that's what I'm doing at the moment is WordPress apps and basically just cleaning up front ends after developers.
Right. Okay, so as a Scrum Master, I get very excited about games, and I believe that your presentation will also encompass playing a game which will be played for the first time in the world, and I'm intrigued.
So am I. So what it is that there are so many UI versus UX talks, people know the rules. No one actually knows why those rules are in place and what the impact of that is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be taking 4 websites, and I'm going to literally make one of them the worst things in the world, probably like a very popular cartoon app. And with that, we're going to be playing a treasure hunt. And if you find it, you're going to be tapping on it and you're going to be entering your name, and we're going to have a scoreboard. So with our virtual users, the virtual guys will have their scoreboard, and the in-person people will have their scoreboard. And I'm having t-shirts made. Don't worry, guys, no brands, just like, funky geek sayings. And of course, as if anyone knows me, there are going to be a lot of stickers. So we're going to basically start treasure hunting on simple things like one of the examples would be, one of the most important things on a website or an app is the menu. Great, find it. Stuff like that is just going to, and then as we progress through, I'm going to start explaining, and we're going to start seeing a site that uses those rules correctly. And then we're going to actually take a look at the time between taps and finding and, usability. And the person who finds, I'm calling it the golden seeker because one of my computers is actually called Sin Seeker. The person who finds that will be winning a big prize. I haven't figured out what that is, but it's going to be wicked. But yeah, so it's actually going to be an interactive demo. As I said, everyone, UX versus UI is one of the oldest discussions happening at all conferences all over the world. It's boring. Everyone knows about the various rules, but when a developer or a designer actually starts seeing those rules in play and how it affects them as a user, maybe you'll learn something.
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to it. Not just the swag, though the swag sounds awesome. But
you got to have
but the actual game as well. Of course. And for our virtual guys, we will make sure that you guys also get your swag. We'll get addresses and stuff and make sure that it all gets delivered to you. So we're very excited about that. I have a question for you. So on projects that I've run before, we have very often we have very often negotiated with clients who believe that the UX team should be given a completed set of requirements at the end and then do their thing at the end of requirements gathering just before the devs start or before you do backlog grooming even. What are your thoughts on that? It's generally around cost, obviously, but I mean, what are your thoughts on that process?
So us front-enders were usually considered second-rate citizens about 10 years ago. UX was, Microsoft and Apple had very set ways of doing things, and that's how you did things. With smartphones coming into play, responsive websites, all of a sudden the user actually became important. And it's an old age way of thinking where you put your horse before the cart, I think the expression is. UX used to be an afterthought if there was budget. If your developers hadn't screwed up too badly, maybe there'd be, a couple of thousands here or there. Users now are your product. Their time is your resource. So if you screw around your user, you've lost them. And that's actually one of the things we will be looking at. But in saying that, having one of the top, UX teams in the world, if your UI and your developer team don't actually understand how to put those rules and those theories in place, you've lost the idea already. Oh, sorry.
That's fine.
Oh,
the recording is perfect, so it's fine.
So now all of a sudden UX has become really important, but without the kind of the synergy between the different teams, you've got nothing. If your developer team is amazing and your UX team is shocking, you've lost the goal. And it's actually one of my big things when I first started at Dimension Data, and we're talking back in 2001, was I was the middleman between the developers and the designers because they wouldn't even eat lunch together. That's how much they refused to work together. And you can't do that anymore. But everyone has to understand the part and the play of everyone else, including the client. You as a developer have every right to say no. The client is not always right. Most of the time, the client doesn't even know what they want. Let's be honest. And bringing them on board early is great, but also making sure that every part of every team has an equal part say in everything else. It's hugely important. Teams who don't work together, you're going to have a failed product before you've even, written hello world. And making sure that your client actually gets it, that involves tricky. A lot of talking, a lot of show and tell, and usually a hell of a lot of crayons.
So tell me, DevConf this year? No, you'll be fine. DevConf this year, how are you going to choose which talks you go to? Because there are so many, and there are 5 or 6 streams at the same time. How are you going to choose which talks you attend and which one?
Which titles I understand. I'm not an incredibly smart person. My coding is very my Fisher-Price Hello World. I will support, there are a couple of us OGs who have been around since the very beginning. Earbolt being one of them. Can't wait for his talk because it's just nice to watch his energy on stage. Gordon, energy on stage. I go for the personalities rather than the talks themselves because I'm going to learn something no matter where I go, but I want to watch people, bounce on stage. I want to see passionate people. There's nothing worse than watching someone boring. So I'm going to go and see a couple of the new speakers. I hope some of the new speakers will come see me. I know the old speakers are definitely coming to see me because they haven't seen me in close on 20 years. And for me, it's all about personality type. Every single person, whether you've been in the game, speaking or a coder for one day or 100 years, everyone brings something new to the mix. There's always something new to the fold, and I want to start I want to see how many experiences I can get out of that. And also it'll be, how close is the one talk to the other, and is there a snack in between?
Snacks and swag. I think that should be the new DevConf tagline.
Snacks are important. It's very important to keep my mouth, with stuff in it, because as people know, I never really shut up.
Well, Louise, I'm personally very excited to meet you at DevConf and very excited to come and listen to you talk. I think it's going to be a really fun presentation, and I'm looking forward to it. If
nothing else, it's going to be interesting, yes. I just hope no one hacks my server.
Okay, we'll try and hang on to everything before the date in April, at least.
Well, yeah, I've actually already started coding, and I'm already coding myself into circles going, what the hell was I thinking? But, that'll be part of the talk too.
There you go. It's all about the story. Thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you
And
so much.
we will see you at DevConf.
Very much so. Thank you.